Hello and welcome to DDOCast episode 650, recorded the weekend of September 11th. I'm your host, Patrick. This week's screenshot. Kyria faces no fear while facing the demon of Shavarath in the 524th screenshot of the week. Thanks for sending in this week's screenshot. We like to talk about Dungeons & Dragons online nearly every weekend. You can watch us through Twitch, YouTube, the DDO forums, iTunes, or from our website at DDOCast.com. DDOCast is hosted by Cyber Ears, the awesome podcast hosting network. Shows are usually available within a few days of recording, and the next show will probably be next weekend. We'll probably go back to doing a little more live shows. The last couple of weeks were kind of crazy, and there was not a whole lot of news, but I'm hoping the next couple of weeks we should be able to get some live shows going again. But you can stay updated by following us on our social media pages. At DDOCast on Twitter is the best place, and at DDOCast.com with our calendar. On the podcast this week, we've got the third part and final part of our review of Update 50 with Samius and Voodoo, which will be on the back half of the show. Before we get there, let's talk about some game news. We did have... basically no game news. Bonus days, double daily dice XP through September 12th. Store sales. This is the final weekend to get double bonus points, as well as Tensor's weapon boxes. And you can store more loot. That is 20% off of character banks, shared banks, deposit box, platinum storage, inventory space, and bags. That is all through the 16th, as well as 5 plus 20 lasting potions of fire resistance. Burn relief is the coupon code for that. And there you go. That's the game news. There's a couple of we're expecting to have the next update on preview on Lemania. That would be Epic Destinies. I don't know what else if they're gonna have any content in there, or if it's just gonna be Epic Destinies. But we're expecting that to be the week after next. So I think it's the last weekend in September. About that. That sounds right. So we're expecting that to be coming soon. There's a couple other things that there's bug fixes supposed to be in, but we don't know when that patch is gonna be. So I don't. Well, we'll talk about them when they land. Wasn't anything like super major, I don't think, in any of those. But that's kind of where we're at with that. And also why, again, not a live show this week for the news portion, because there is none. It's kind of one of those quiet times, heads down from the devs, working hard on Epic Destinies, I think is kind of the big thing. So we should see some of that stuff coming soon. But if you want to see, the devs have not been entirely quiet. You can go to the dev tracker and see some comments. It's just mostly about maybe some really in-depth detail about some things here and there. They're working on this fix. They got to fix it for this. They're working on that. But nothing super concrete this week, so it didn't really feel like it was some of that stuff was worth mentioning. But there is some stuff there if you want to go and kind of see what the devs are chatting about. It's just not anything that we won't see in release notes down the line. All right, so community news, the 440th Chronicle. The spotlights, Damsel's Gain run a DDO quest a day on their YouTube channel. That is, I believe Saba Jade is doing that, running one each day, or at least posting a video each day. DDO Central is celebrating its 7th anniversary. Is an aggregator of DDO content, so you can check them out. If you're looking to chat with other DDO players over coffee in the morning, check out Vooduspyce's Twitch channel. He usually does a coffee wake-up chat kind of a thing for him. The guild for the week. Garden of the Night is a Orion-based small guild looking for a few more members to join them, so you can check out that. The comment. Where do you log out for the night? Where do you plan to start next time? Where you ended up in a certain tavern or someplace else? I feel like that's like 4 comment question. Jeez. Where do I log out for the night? Generally where-ish I stopped. Usually at a bank. That's kind of a pretty common place for me to be. The bank or the boat. That's kind of the two places I tend to log out. Fansite news, we got a shout out for our episode last week, continuing update 50 review. That was part 2. Dido Players has the latest on update 50.3 and more, so you can check out their latest show. Axel has a theory about LFMs. You can check that out on YouTube. DDO Stream is your first stop to find DDO on Twitch. This week, Brock and friends prepare for a holiday. Friday has a nice quest in Saltmarsh, and Bard Life prepares for a move to Mondays. Also on Twitch, Deathy TV roasts some monster mallows. Brackart does epic questing, and Rough Anna 85 decides to go outside virtually. Over on YouTube, Samius Gurobo runs a Blayforged melee. Tasman has a good feeling, and Ice Damon heads into the mists. Don't forget to check out D&D Night on DDO Stream Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You can also find that on YouTube. I post the Oracle of War videos, the ones that I DM to DDOCast, so you can check those out at DDOCast.com or on our DDOCast YouTube page. But you can also check out the other videos. There is a playlist for that. DDOCast Plat, we're back doing some stuff on Tuesdays now at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Time. That will probably hold true for most of the next couple months-ish. We'll see what happens. But we've been playing. We just did Giant Hold last week. Not sure where we're going to go next week, though. But you can find that at twitch.tv/DDOcast there as well. That'll take us to some lightning posts. We had a couple people write in response to our review, what we're talking about with the reviews the last couple of shows. I like some of these comments, so I picked a couple out. Jay writes in, as a DC caster, I noticed some improvement, but it's not enough. I was all for the stat squish and monster revamp, but I don't think it was even. I lost 500 hit points and about 500 spell points, and I'm still having difficulties landing necro spells on Reaper. I do understand difficulty is important, but I have over 120 past lives on my main, and I would expect to succeed on necro spells more than 50% in Saltmarsh. If I can't get the majority of my spells to land, then what hope do people without all the gear and past lives have? Excellent question. Not much. And yeah, there's two big things here. One is I'm still expecting the Epic Destinies to kind of bring some of that back up a little bit. So Jay, if you're listening, come back after we get Epic Destinies live. I'd really love to hear where your experience is then. That's kind of the big thing that I'm waiting for. But also, TC casting is just such a weird thing to try to fit into this game. If everyone's succeeding all the time, I think you lose all the challenge. You lose anything resembling challenge if you can just instant kill half the stuff. But at the same time, people who invest heavily into it need to be able to succeed and feel like it's fun. And I still don't know how you do that in such a binary thing, in what it does. I think that the obvious thing for me would be to really ratchet up the damage that those spells can do. Not to the point that we're talking about something like the main damage spells, because they still have possibility to insta-kill, but having them do something more when they don't land, I think, is kind of the obvious, as close to an obvious thing as I can say with how to balance those better. If you're running hard content, getting your insta-death spells to land 50% of the time, from a DM standpoint, that actually feels pretty darn good. As a player, that feels kind of lame, right? Like, you only do something 50% of the time. Yeah. But I think that debate continues to be an important part. Like, where should that land? Hopefully, Epic Destinies will kind of give you some of that power back. Zentumbed says he's played 2 lives of Shader Kai with the chains, Racial Completionist, and they do an amazing amount of damage, being able to hit 6 times with plus half crit range, or is that 1 or 2 crit range? I'm not exactly sure. and a multi in AoE around you makes clearing a pack of mobs so easy as a melee. Oh, and the animation speed scales with attack speed, so it gains more value with haste boost. The two builds used to test chains was a pure wizard Eldritch Knight with some Pale Master investment, and a single weapon fighting Vistani pure rogue who could destroy small packs of creatures in seconds with chains. Those are some two really fun sounding Shadowkai builds to do. I like the direction of that. That's a lot of fun. But yeah, I'm happy to hear someone giving some really positive feedback for Shadowkai. That sounds fantastic. All right, so that'll close out what little there is of the news and Lightning Post section. So stay tuned. We'll have Voodoo and Samius Gurobo with me, finishing our conversation about Update 50, and our review of that, Part 3. This will be the last part of that. We'll have a new topic next week. Thanks for listening to the show. Thanks to all the guests and contributors that help with DDOCast and to San Diego Games, Wizards of the Coast, and to Cybers for hosting the podcast. If you would like to support the show, you can visit our website at DDOcast.com, or you can support us on Patreon. If you have a DDO-themed webpage, or you Twitch DDO and you'd like to be featured on our website, email us at DDOcast@gmail.com. You can hit us up at DDOcast.com for show notes, MP3s, our calendar, previous shows, and other fun stuff, including various adventures in DDO and D&D tabletop, and even some other games. If you have a comment on this episode, a question you'd like to hear us answer, or a topic you'd like to hear us discuss, or you just want to say hi, leave a comment or email us at DDOcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on social media and follow us for the latest cast updates at DDOcast on Twitter is the best place. So stay tuned for part 3 of our review of Update 50. Here's the place where they didn't get me as well as I would have liked. And I understand why they did this, but like running Legendary Saltmarsh and you're getting level 3 items, I totally understand why they did it. I don't even think that was the wrong choice. But Saltmarsh has, like, there is no value in Saltmarsh for me running an Elixir of Discovery. If there is, I don't know what there is. As far as I know, it doesn't impact the bits that you get or getting star fragments or anything like that. So, like I don't know. I just feel like new content I should be able to get a lot better value out of my Elixirs of Discovery than I get out of this pack, because there's basically none out of it.
I feel like the people who watch the video stream get to see me contemplate these ideas for the first time. I've noticed an awful lot of head turning sideways, and like I've never actually thought of it like this before. But does that feel like something that you're normally used to? Is that these elixirs of discovery should be in this new I mean, I know a lot of people run the new content because they feel like the drops are higher the first day. So is this just more of that superstition type feeling, or is this
No, it's
something more along the lines of idea of like I want to get this stuff and there's my thing for it?
it's more a matter of, I'll run Elixirs of Discovery throughout most legendary content, just because even if I don't care about the gear that I'm getting, but getting the gear that I can feed to a sentient gem.
Sure.
But in Saltmarsh, they added the 1K sentient XP, but I don't think the Elixirs of Discovery make that more likely. So getting level 3 item, I could just go run this stuff on, take my level 30 character, go run it on heroic if I needed the gear, right? Like, that's the way to do it. It's not running with Elixir of Discovery. Just go ransack it on heroic really fast with a overpowered character. What I'm saying is there doesn't appear to me, I don't know why I would run Saltmarsh with an Elixir of Discovery running.
I understand that this is a problem. I'm trying to understand where the problem stems from, but I understand that is a problem. Like I feel like you're correct in your assessment. I don't know if it's one of those things where you're just like, you look up and you're like, oh, I've got an hour left on my Elixir Discovery. I guess I'm gonna do like 4 Sharn quests first before I go and do this,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Like,
it has been mentioned in the chat like it would help you get the minor artifacts. Sure. I wasn't really impressed with any of the minor artifacts, to be honest. And they do. We should mention too, like they have like the scavenger hunt thing, the perfected item artifacts that are like they get 4 sentient slots in them, which is a cool idea. I like the system. I just wasn't impressed with any of the items. None of them really stood out to me that were better than the artifacts I already had. So we'll see what the Sands ones are, but so. Anything else you want to say about loot? Alrighty.
I think I'm glad that they're touching on stuff and they're at least taking the opportunity to think about some of these things. Like they spend an awful lot of time, energy, and value creating the first time around. It really sucks when things get aged out. Um, I hope that they feel like they future-proof these items in a way that's meaningful. That's something that I feel like the original takes through were not. Voodoo is just laughing. It's just killing me over here. All right, never mind. Nobody ever does anything meaningful or lasts a long time here. I got it.
Laughing at you. I'm thinking back to the release notes when they used that term, and I didn't know what it was, and I was making fun of it in their release notes.
No, okay,
I think you,
but
I think you're right. I mean, I think this is the best part of the update. The updating the loot and the scroll shield shard mechanic. This is my favorite part of the update, hands down. So, some other things, just to kind of throw out there, kind of as miscellaneous things. We got a new monster manual, which, yay, we got a new monster manual. Like, I love monster manuals. I'd love to get more of them. But they're also kind of bland. I get like
well,
it's
you don't see them in action, right? Like the
not
way
very
that you
much.
interact with them are not inducive to like doing things. Um, they're very powerful effects, but they don't doesn't show you how you're interacting with them, so you don't think about them.
I do really like them for hardcore though, because you get like all these really great goodies on hardcore because it's the first time on the server.
Well, but you miss so like you begin to take it for granted, like seeing how many hit points a monster has and stuff like that. Like it's a
Yeah,
powerful effect, but again, because you don't see it very often in your day-to-day life in the game once you've unlocked something, like you don't recognize or realize that your monster manual is what's letting you see those hit points, right? Like intelligently you know that, but you don't register that as a UI thing as hey, look how awesome your monster manual is. I don't know if there's a way that you could do that to monster manuals to give them the flair that people would be like, "Oh, this is great. Look at my monster manual. Do value," right? Like you just don't see that. And I don't know if there's a way that you could sexify the monster manual so people would see it and take notice of it
I
because it really
mean,
is a big factor of your life when you
yeah,
start thinking about it. When you click on those things, seeing that monster and prioritizing your things and figuring out how many attacks you're going to take and like all the things matter and it is important, but and it's not possible without the monster manual, but it's not sexy.
I was talking more about like the bags of remnants that you get from them,
Sure,
which
sure,
is kind
that
of
too.
nice. Although I think there are ways you could sexify them, like, but I don't think they're good ways, right? Like, if you reach this number of kills with this, like, you now deal, they now count as a favorite enemy for you or something like that. Like, that would just be totally broken
Well,
and
I don't
bad. But
even mean that. I just mean something so it graphically shows on your screen that you're getting some
oh,
benefit with your monster manual,
yeah,
something like a fake glow of the monster or like your hit point total does like when you see that something happens, something to make it realize, hey, this is doing something special because of my monster manual. I don't know what that is. I don't
I
know
don't
if
know
like maybe
either.
you put a little symbol around the monster icon that shows that you can see its hit points, like a die or something. I don't know. Something to make it cool and realize that it's what's going on. Because again, it is a cool feature and a very powerful one.
Yeah, definitely. There is definitely a part of it though. It's like much of it is this funny thing where everyone's like, "We want more monsters. Give us more monsters." And it comes out like, "Yeah, we got a monster manual. We move right." Like,
Right. They're like, yay, whatever.
give them when's the next one, right? Like, it's,
Right.
um, I do want to kind of give some honorable mentions to guild augments are gone. Did anyone care?
I did.
Did you? Okay.
I I really got upset, actually. I always liked the guild stuff. I felt like when they took them away, guilds lost a lot of the reason for being together,
Okay.
and I felt like that was a unique bonus that gave you some flexibility. I didn't like a lot of the implementation. I felt like they should act a lot more like augments, which they eventually kind of like pseudo replaced them. But it's still like if you had a large one, you could put on the magic one and get like 140 spell points, which is not necessarily important for everybody, but there are certainly times in my TRing days that I need an extra 140 spell points. Um, so like there's some things here and there, and otherwise, I would have liked to have seen that revised as well because I feel again with the removal of the shrines, the resistance shrines, and now the guild augmentations. Why are we guilds again for? For like fast travel and like click on an altar every 4 hours? That doesn't feel like very guild like to me.
Those guild augments, most of it didn't stack with the new stuff anyway. So
A
what?
lot of it didn't. There was some overlaps, but again, I wish they would have fixed that system as opposed to like devalue it to nothing.
I don't mind that it converted to maybe a better conversion into the augment system would have worked, right? Like if you could make them augments, which they did, which I think is fine. But what if now they had guild augment vendors that they were just vendors, but hey, if you were guild level yada yada, you could go there and buy augments, like actual augments.
Like
You talking about something like
maybe,
that?
maybe I don't know. It feels like again stripping away the benefits of being a guild, which I don't like. I want that to feel special and
Yeah.
something that's vital, as opposed to like a secondary thing. Oh, your tag is this or your name is this color. Those things don't matter to me. What matters to me is things like resistances, why I'm low level, XP buffs, buffs on my alts or my not my alts on my hirelings, hit points, stuff like that. Like these are things that mean something to me at the end of the day. That comes from being a member of my guild, being where we've worked to as a family. And I feel like another power has been stripped away from the guild to weaken the reasons that we're part of the guild, other than a loose title name of Defense Guild or High Lords of Malachar or Lava Divers. You know what I mean? Like, other than that name, guilds don't really have that much of a perk anymore. And I don't like that. I would like them to strengthen the value of being in a good guild. They
Which is a
were from the
different
old
problem.
augment system. Correct.
Yeah.
But those came directly from the guild nerfing and came out there. Again, that's my issue with it. Not that they changed them or they removed them or made them useful. That's all fine. But where's the power level? Where's the gift back to the guilds that they took away?
Sure. Yeah, I don't know. Like that's something to consider. I haven't used them in ages, but I just don't have the
Every
stuff that
caster
changed.
life, I used a ring or a hat with a large guild augment slot and nothing else to get that 140 spell points, basically until I could put on a DC item from Feywild. Yeah.
Okay.
So like I used it every single life forever.
Yeah.
Not everyone does. And when I would mention it and people would make fun of me, I'm like, well, I'm going to get 140 spell points back. So
Yeah,
uh,
no, that's right.
that's enough to get me through the quest without having to shrine. What about you? Shriner?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, we won't go down the what they should do with guilds rabbit hole because that could be a
I know
conversation
there's a
itself. But
lots of things, but that's
um,
I would like to see them look at it soon is all.
yeah. We do want to circle back to the Monster Manual. There was some talk in the chat. I think it was mostly from Apocalypse Dom and some other folks kind of chiming in. But the idea of Monster Manuals, like Monster Manuals are great. How come we don't get the newer monsters in there? Like, why doesn't Monster Manual 8 have Bullywug? It's a fair question. I assume it has something to do with the fact that there's just not enough variety of those to fill out a monster manual. But at the same time, like I think that's actually okay, right? Like I don't I personally wouldn't have an issue of a monster manual like here's Bullywug. You can't actually achieve the hunter. You can't actually get into the account based or server based Hunter because there's not enough of them in the game yet. I feel like I'd be okay with that. Something tells me a lot of players would get really pissed at that though. So I don't know.
Yeah, having uncompletable things is not good.
Yeah. But I don't know. I take the point though. Like you just put out Bullywug. Why not put Bullywug in the monster manual? That does feel kind of no-brainer-ish. But
I suspect it has more to do with like continuing to hide certain monsters' hit point total, as opposed to like why it's still a certain age. I suspect that's probably the logic behind it, or at least that would be my argument for it.
maybe.
But I figure like a couple of contents old should definitely be viewable by now, right? Like you should be able to see most of those things by now.
If they came out with them faster, right? Like I don't think we'd even have this conversation, right? If there
Oh
was,
yeah,
if we were getting a
exactly.
monster manual, like 2 monster manuals a year, we wouldn't. This conversation
And
wouldn't
it
be happening.
covered like the second one would cover basically the top monsters in the first half of the last year.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Other things to mention: Demon Queen flagging mechanics were changed. So that's great, right? Like I love not only having to run DQ1 once and then you can just go run the raid. Great change.
Yeah, but you still have to do Chains of Pain, and that's just shenanigans.
Only once for life, but yes.
Yeah, but that's all I do.
Yeah, I know.
Shenanigans.
And yeah, I'm not super happy that Chains of Flame is probably now going to be in my heroic leveling
Yep.
path just so I can run Demon Queen. Yeah. And then combinations of heroism being turned in for greater tokens of the 12. I really like that change. Personally.
I think taking one like in-game currency and converting to another in-game currency is fine. But I don't know. I think they could have just went to one in-game currency and not screwed around with 12,000 other things. But that's not their pattern. They like lots of currencies. So being able to trade them around is a win. But now do it the other way, or do it. Keep adding it.
So you
Let
can
us
turn
continue to trade eternities.
greater
Right.
tokens of 12 into combinations of heroism. You mean?
Or other currencies into tokens of the 12 or greater tokens of the 12 or vice versa. Like I don't know, what's another one of the bigger in-game currencies? Is it Com of Heroism or something? That's one of them, right?
Yeah. That's the
Like
one you can change.
yeah, so or I don't know, you have all these different ones that you collect. Give us some sort of trade ratio to like move things around.
They
At
have
least get
threads
some
of fate,
value out of
right?
them.
Like just
Yeah,
to
that'd
me
be
it seems like
perfect,
it would be
wouldn't it?
easier just to say tokens of the 12 combinations of heroism. You can turn them in for some number of threads of fate and you can convert threads of fate into those and you
That
get
sounds perfect.
and it would be at a loss, right? So if you took a greater a combination of heroism, maybe you could turn it into like 50 threads of fate and then or maybe like 10 and it costs 50 to turn 50 threads of fate to get a combination of heroism. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, that's all I'm asking for. Get more of that universal currency worked in.
Yeah.
Even if it's at a loss.
Yeah.
Just help people out.
I don't hate this change either, right? Like
No, it's a step in the right direction.
tokens
as
of the
should
12
work.
is a great thing to change it into. So
Yeah,
like
and every step in the positive direction is a good one.
yeah. All right, that anything else you guys want to mention for update 50 review?
I think we just go back and rewatch the pre-order one, like for any comments, and just see that we were all fortune soothsayers.
I do like how we're like, what would be really great is if they made those hirelings bound to account.
Yeah. Well, so I'm actually going to take a lot of credit, and for that particular DDO episode, almost immediately we saw like for the teleport items. I made that comment and
Yep.
we talked about it, and everyone like basically went crazy. And then the next day on Linabelle's Twitter, there was a comment that I felt inferred that was being assigned, and then like on the next stream, like they basically confirmed it. So I just feel like their ears are open, and if you have comments, as long as you watch your criticism and put them out there, they're in a good spot to listen. And I feel like this is another good moment to like highlight that is get out there, leave the comments, let them know what's wrong, but be respectful and do it in a useful manner and get that feedback out there. They want the game to be as good as they possibly can for us, and we're the ones that have to tell them what we think is good and what's bad.
Mm-hmm.
But I say that all the time, and no one seems to care. So, but it's the same thing every time. Every big update, you have to give the same message, and hopefully somebody will hear.
Yeah, but just make sure that giving feedback is an art. Yelling at them and telling them how terrible they are is not the way to get your feedback heard. So let's quickly do letter grades, and then we'll close out this portion of the show. I'm at a B, and if it wasn't for the loot changes, I would probably be at a B minus C plus.
What's the scale?
Letter grades?
Oh, so we're starting at where A is the best?
Yeah.
I really love that alligator hat, man. I can't get over it. And I'm serious. With that saved the whole thing for me in a way that I can't imagine. I absolutely love it. I hope they do more hats in this style of like
full
changing your
face cover.
whole, yeah, like changing everything. There's some ugly alts out there. Cover them up. I'll do all of the half elf lives in the world. Just give me that hat. Whatever.
You need to run Dryden the Demigod to get that hat out of there.
I do. I've been running it some, but not enough. Yeah, it's probably like a B, maybe a high B. I haven't looked at the gear as in a depth as you have. I'm more of a level and then damn the consequences to that kind of person. But I do find level 3-ish level gear to be very good for me. I tend to skip roughly to level 3 with XP stones and whatnot. And then I actually start to play the game from level 3 on. And so being able to have a good set of gear that I can put on and get started on until Feywild gets like sprinkled in could be really good. Most of the time I like put on 4 things and I'm naked until Feywild. So I would like to have gear that level 3 that makes me stop and be like, well, I guess I'll get a bit this on. I can put this on. Normally you're just naked. So I think that's probably going to be okay. I haven't looked at it real in depth. I think the Horizon Walker is a very strong universal tree that has a lot of good implications for a variety of builds, not just bow builds, but I think bow builds are going to get the biggest bang out of it. And I think the Shatterkai is going to be really good. And anytime that you can make healing more fun and entertaining for people, I think it's good. So I think for those reasons, I would probably give it like a high B or a low A.
Voodoo?
I'm a tough grader, and I almost never give out A's. I think I'm gonna go with B plus.
Pretty good. I would not have guessed that'd be on the lower end of the spectrum. Although I think it's still like my my comparison bias is really sticking in here, right? Like Ravenloft is an A plus for me, right? And I like the content. I'm gonna run it. Like I don't think it's bad content, but I think Saltmarsh is below Menace the Underdark for me. It's fighting for the bottom of the expansions for me. What I want to make clear out of that is that says less about me not liking this content and more about how much more I like the other content. Like Ravenloft, Sharn, Feywild. She's probably like Ravenloft, Feywild, Sharn, Menace the Underdark, Saltmarsh.
I feel like
Shadowfell.
I feel like it's going to grow on you, Patrick, more when you have to do another heroic life and you're like looking to do something
different,
not the same. Yeah, Like, I think what's going to happen is more people are going to become more like I've been for a long time, where I kind of do these quests at a big scatter shot. I don't necessarily look at XP per minute or whatever. I just kind of look at variety and what seems like a good idea at the time. And so, like for me, having quests at level 3, again, that's where I tend to start playing DDO. Right, is around
Right.
level 3 because of these XP stones, give or take. And so, like, that's kind of where I begin playing. And I feel like having a new starter area for experienced players, lots of air quotes there, I think it'll be good.
Maybe. The thing that's
Maybe.
it's going to be, you might be right. The thing that's going to be competing with me and why I don't think that's going to happen is because it doesn't give me coin lord favor.
That's a fair point. That is a
With
fair
your
point.
rating it against other content, Patrick, it's interesting that you are clearly more inclined to rate it against other expansions, whereas me, I'm inclined to rate it against other classic modules.
Sure.
And when I
we can go
rate
that
it
direction
against
too.
other classic modules, I think it's pretty high up there.
Let's see. I don't think it's gonna be very hot for me with that even. I think it's still gonna be Ravenloft. I gotta remember them all. Ravenloft would be at the top. Haunted Halls would be pretty high.
Ravenloft's an expansion.
But it's also classic. It's also classic content. Like,
oh yeah, but it wasn't a classic module release.
This is an expansion and it's classic content. You can't play that card, buddy. That's not gonna work.
It's a mini expansion.
Yeah. I don't like the word mini expansion. I just call it an expansion.
That's part of the problem.
It doesn't have to be the same size. Like, expansions don't have to be the same size, but it's still an expansion. The word mini in front of it is meaningless to me.
I feel like there is a separation there. For me, it's like a combination of two good packs put together, as opposed to what I expect from an expansion.
Yeah.
And I think that for a lot of people, they hook up on that. And if you were to compare the quests to other level 3 quests, and honestly, it should be level 4 or 5 quests. I feel like they're a little overtuned. But if you compare them to like level 3 or level 4 content, I think you're going to find them to be pretty much spot on. I think these quests are probably slightly tuned more towards the heroic levels than the epics, but I don't want to like swear on that. I bet you'll enjoy them a whole lot more in heroics.
I do plan on running them on heroics in the near future, so that's entirely possible. Hey, Samus.
I know I have to go, right? I turn into a Dungeons and Dragons pumpkin.
Samus, plug your stuff, man.
Well, I stream Monday through Friday at least over on twitch.tv and youtube.com/Samius Gurobo, SAMIUSGUROBO. Not just Dungeons and Dragons, but we're going to start breaking out the variety a whole lot more here, both basically Thursdays and Fridays. We're going to be doing a little bit more variety. So Dungeons and Dragons will be Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And we're probably going to adjust our hours a little bit more as well to ironically compete with Voodoo, because I'm not allowed to sleep more than 4 hours a night. So apparently he just passed it on to me, guys. That's what I'm saying. Right now, Voodoo cursed me with no sleep on the internet. You should come sub me instead. That's what I hear. That's what I'm saying.
Voodoo, you want to plug your stuff?
You can find over 1,000 DDO videos on my YouTube channel. Quest walkthroughs, raid guides, crafting tutorials, and so much more. You can catch me live streaming nearly every day on Twitch channel Vooduspyce. We do a morning show that we call Good Morning Coffee and Chat, where we wake up together, drink coffee, and talk about DDO and play the game a little bit too.
Well, thanks, guys, for joining us today. If you'd like to support the show, you can visit our website, DDOCast.com, or you can support us on Patreon. You can also find show notes, past shows, and more on our website. You can also find us on social media and follow us for latest cast updates. I'm at DDOCast on Twitter. That's the best place to find me. If you'd like to join the discussion, you can leave a comment or email us at DDOCast@gmail.com. So until next time, may all your attack rolls be crits, all your chests level appropriate, have fun, and don't forget to gather for buffs.